Steve Dotto here. How are you this fine day? Me? I am feeling somewhat drained, like my iPhone battery. Why is it that I have a smartphone and I now spend my life looking for AC outlets to move from as I go through the day because my battery does not have the same stamina as do I? Are you in this boat? Do you find that the battery in your iOS device just does not last your day? Let's face it, we're talking about iPhones here. The battery sucks, does it not? And here is the frustration that I have. Everything I read online, all these battery nicks are telling me to turn off this service and turn off that service and turn off this service and basically turn my smartphone into one of these. If I wanted one of these, I would still have one of these. I want a smartphone, one that knows where it is, one that can assist me through the day. So here is our mission. We are going to take on iOS7, and we're going to find 7 things that we can do that will extend our battery life without giving up our smartphone. Does that make sense? Let's do it. All right, I got my iPhone ready to go. You can see it here. Let's see 7 things that we can do to extend our battery life. And actually, before I begin, this is something that, so often we don't do. We use our phones so much that we often don't realize how many open apps we have, how many different applications we have open. Now, if I take a look here, this is just a couple of days' use of my phone, and look at all of the apps that I have open that I do not need to have open right now. So what you got to do is you've got to go through and just swipe up, double tap on the home button, open all of the different apps that you have, or to see all of the different apps you have, and then turn them off. Maybe this is something that you should do last thing in the evening before you go to sleep every night. Make it a routine, is just close down all of the apps that you're not using. They open fast enough when you need to open them, but while they're open there in the background, they're taking up resources. They're using power. So this isn't even one of our tips. We're starting with a bonus tip, coming up with a habit for extending your battery life. That way in the morning, you don't have to do it, and that's a great start, is it not? Okay, now the first thing I want to talk about is location services, which is always one of the first thing that the battery nicks talk about, as far as you've got to turn off your location service as if you want to get a lot of battery life out of your iPhone. But this was the one that drives me the most crazy, because location services are incredibly, awesomely powerful if you use them correctly. I like my phone knowing when I get home because I use it for my reminders. I set reminders saying, when I get home, remind me to do this. And if I turn off location services, then it doesn't know when I get home. So using location services, while they have an impact on our privacy, which is not what this conversation's about, it's about battery life. While they do have an impact on privacy, they do also have a massive impact on our battery life. But I want them because I use them. So I think what we need to do is we need to begin looking at all of the different resources on our iPhone and just pare them down to the ones that we really want to use. We don't want to neuter our smartphone and turn it into a dumb phone. We want to make sure that we have enough battery resources available for the services that we do use. And our goal is to leave the house at 7:30 in the morning and come home at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening with still some reserve of power left in our phone, still using our phone for the day. So that's always been my goal. So let's begin with location services. Now, where you go in to turn off your location services, it is under the privacy settings. So Apple, they hide things all over the place on us in iOS. Now, I know that there's a really good reason for the way they do their menuing structure, but I find it quite confusing. So unlike what the battery nicks say, turn off location services. No. Leave location services on, but then decide which apps you want to have access to location services. And I've done a pretty good job in this one. I want my camera. I want CardStar, which is my loyalty card app. I want my Compass to have it. I want Evernote to have it. Facebook, I don't really care because I don't really post that often on Facebook. So I'm going to turn off that one. I do want Google to have it. Foursquare I use a lot because I check in a lot. Just see what I'm doing here is I'm going through and deciding which apps actually need to know where I am at any time. And so far, Starbucks. That's good. It's only apps. So I'm in good shape as far as this one here goes. I've only got the apps that I want to have access to, having access. So that's it. So step one, location services. Go through, take a look at which apps are accessing your GPS, basically, which is a big power hog. This is one of the biggest ones that we can do. So location services, number one. Number two is dealing with your background apps and your content refresh area. So this is these are automatic downloads and things that are going to be running in the background on an ongoing basis. So where we go for that is we head back into our settings and we choose our general tab and we choose within here our background app refresh. Open that up. Now this tells us, it says allows apps to refresh content when Wi-Fi or cellular is used or location services in the background. So turning off apps may help preserve battery life. Then why are they always turned on? Why don't we go in and turn them on if we want rather than turn them off? But I'm complaining. So I'm going to go now through BBM. I don't even use BBM. I should probably uninstall BBM. Leave CardStar, Coach to 5K. Well, I haven't been doing that nearly as much. Dispatch and email client. I don't need that. So this is turning off all of these ones that you don't need to give access to. Expensify doesn't need it. Facebook doesn't need it. Okay, Foursquare. Gmail doesn't need it. I'll leave Gmail. Google Maps, see, we'll leave. And the little arrow is telling me that which ones I have turned on in location services. So now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to turn off all the apps that I don't think really need access in the background. So I'll continue with this. If you're working along with me, this will take you a few moments. Continue to do it. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Look at all these apps that have background access. There we go. Done. Okay. Next up, Spotlight. Apple's search and indexing capabilities on the phone is incredibly powerful, but the computer, the phone has to process every bit of new data that comes in order for it to be found. So Spotlight is effectively, it's the same as we use on our computer. It searches all of the different data that's on your phone so that your search is effective. But there's a lot of things you don't need to search, and you don't need to have Spotlight continuously indexing. And this is something that you're not even going to know is happening, because it's going through, you've got new email coming in, it's going to index that email as it comes in. So once again, for you determine whether you use search. If you never use search on the phone, if you never use search to go to look for something on your phone, then turn off all of this. But then if you do use search, what areas are you searching for? And I'm not talking about internet search. I'm talking about searching for data on your phone. So here we go. Spotlight search. And choose what you can search for. See, I search for contacts all the time, so that's a good one to leave. I search for applications. I always, rather than navigate to the applications, I use the search bar to go to applications. I never search for music, so I can turn that off. I never search for podcasts. I can turn that off. I never search for videos. I never search for audiobooks. I never search, I'm going to leave searching for notes on. I never search for events. I always search my mail. I never search in my voice memos. I never search in my reminders, but I do search in my messages. So now I've turned off a whole bunch of things that Spotlight will try and index as soon as new data is brought into the phone. That, again, should be a net win as far as I'm concerned. Now, I use Siri all the time, and I actually didn't even notice this new feature in iOS 7. Now that I notice it, I kind of want to use it, but I'm not going to use it because it's a power hog. It's a waster. Siri has a feature, which is a gesture-based feature, and we go into General Settings, Siri, and here they've got Raise to Speak. So this means that I just basically click down on the home button and hold to invoke Siri. But you can apparently just lift it up like this and Siri will wake up. And if you think about that, Siri waking up every time you move the phone, that's probably a little bit excessive. It uses the accelerometer, which does use up power. So if you have tried and turned on Raise to Speak because it sounds uber cool, turn it off if you're not using it. If you are using it, again, here's the thing. If it's a feature that you use, keep it. and then get rid of something else. It's kind of like being on a diet. If you need to be able to have a little bit of ice cream for dessert, well, then don't eat as much salad. I don't know, but at any rate, if it's something that works for you, use it. If not, get rid of it. Next up, let's adjust our notifications. Oh, look, I just got a notification. Somebody just sent me an email. Did you get the sense that every single app in your iPhone is a 5-year-old child crying out for attention, and they just constantly have to pop up on your screen letting you know what's going on? That's the notification center happening, and all of the apps want to be pushed forward onto your screen and let you know when something is updated. And in some cases that's useful. Email coming in, texts coming in, all of that you should know about. But other things, such as a new version of Talking Ben, maybe not so important. So let's deal with the notification center. And hey, did you know this? That if you swipe down on your screen, it brings up your notification center, and it's got all of these different ways of looking at things, including a calendar view, which shows you all of your different notifications for today, all of your notifications in total, and the ones that you've missed. You know, I hardly ever even use that. I typically just look at the notifications on the lock screen as it's coming in. And so I see if there's something important that I have to deal with. But that seems to be kind of useful now that I'm kind of playing with the notification center a little bit more. Having said that, I still plan to be ruthless with the notification center. And we find our controls just under settings in notification center. Now here it allows us to choose whether or not we want to keep those views, the ones that I swiped down and saw, the notifications view and the today view, and if we want to keep those. So I'm going to say yes, except look at this. They include stocks in the view. Well, I don't need to know about stocks. Why would they leave that turned on? Do all iPhone owners out of the box, does Apple expect us all to be investing in the stock market on an ongoing basis? Get a grip, Apple. Okay. Turned off stocks. There's a good start. But here is now. Are you ready for a long process? Sit down, grab a cup of coffee, make sure your battery's well charged because it's going to take you a little while to go through this. Each of the apps that I have installed in this phone requests being part of the notification center. Take a look. 3030. Down there, show a notification center. No, I don't want you to show you in the notification center. And so you basically got to go through all of these apps that you don't want to include and then just make sure that you include the ones. Instagram, I want to. Hootsuite, I kind of want to. LinkedIn, no. I don't really care when somebody sent me a little notice in LinkedIn. I mean, I do care, but when I'm on my computers often enough, I don't need immediate access to a LinkedIn message. The score. Actually, I do, because I sometimes want to know the score in the hockey game. Shazam, I see no reason that Shazam has access to the notification center, and so on, so forth. So, go through your notification center settings, turn off everything that you don't need, and determine if you want to use it at all. That is the next tip. Actually, I think, I've turned off a lot already. Have you turned off a lot already? I'm getting some hope that my iPhone battery life might be extended just through this process that we're going through right now, which is really the purpose of this video, is it not? Next up, some actually quite simple things to do. We're through the heavy lifting as far as I'm concerned at any rate. And this is one that most people, I don't know why we don't pay more attention to, but I like to turn off, make sure you have turned off, Bluetooth. Turn it off if you're not using it. So you can do that just by swiping up and choosing Bluetooth in the menu there. And you know what? If you aren't in an area, if you're out and traveling about and you don't need Wi-Fi, turn off the Wi-Fi and then turn it back on when you need it. I hope I didn't wreck my my display here. But you can turn off Wi-Fi when you're not using it. That's another way. Now, that's something that you have to kind of remember how to do. And this is one of the areas that I wish that Apple had included near field communications, because with some Android sets, with some Android handsets, when you get in your car, it will turn off your Wi-Fi and turn on Bluetooth because of the near field communications. And when you get back home, it'll turn off Bluetooth and turn back on your Wi-Fi and things like that. But Apple has chosen not to go down that path. And who are we to question the wisdom of the folks at Apple? And the last thing to set is turn down your brightness if you don't need it. Turn down the brightness on the iPhone screen if it's not needed. It's very quick and easy to turn up the brightness if you need. You just swipe up and then you can turn up the brightness. And it actually doesn't change at all on my display here on the computer, but it is changing here. But that is another way that's going to dramatically save you battery life. So those are all steps that you can take, the 7 steps that you can take to really improve your battery life. without sacrificing functionality, which, as I've said over and over again, we definitely do not want to do. Location services, background refresh, spotlight indexing. Oh, that's a big one. Raise Siri to speak if you happen to have turned that on to play with it. Push notifications, Bluetooth, and brightness. Those steps alone are 7 steps that you can take that should dramatically improve your iPhone's battery life. And as kind of a final option, little bonus little pieces here, is once a month, they say it's a great idea to let the battery run completely down, completely drain, and then charge it up again. And that resets all of the different settings within the battery and allows the battery to retain or to regain the ability to charge fully. And finally, if none of those things work for you, there's my dog Farley. If none of those things work, and before you go to the step, which I was considering going to, which is purchasing and installing, opening the back and installing a brand new battery, if none of those things work, they say that if you take your phone and reset it to factory settings, not a restore, don't restore all of your apps, but reset it to factory settings and then laboriously rebuild all of your different connections and all of your different, and re-download all of your apps, that you should also improve that. There's a lot of little things left over from previous apps that sometimes drain the battery, and that is the final ultimate solution before you go about changing your battery. But either one of those, changing the battery is a little bit of work. Rebuilding your iPhone, a lot of work, but it might be worthwhile. I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying it's an option. Oh, that was a lot of work today. I hope that you found this video today to be useful, and I want to let you know that there's 3 ways that you can stay in touch with us on a regular and ongoing basis. First, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Just click on the button and subscribe, and then you will know about all of our new videos every day when we release them. Secondly, sign up for our newsletter. I send out a digest of all of the videos that I produce on a weekly basis, once a week, as well as notification of any upcoming courses or upcoming webinars and live events that are coming up in the Dottotech front. And finally, Dottotech is a community-funded channel. We are brought to you by you, the patrons of our channel, through the site Patreon. If you don't know how crowdfunding works, it's sort of like Kickstarter, but for content creators like me, and instead of me having to go out and get corporate sponsors, instead I rely on the generosity of my audience to help support the channel. So for as little as $1 a month, you can make a big difference in the Dottotech world. I encourage you to take a look at my Patreon page. And with that, I am done for today. Have fun storming the castle.